Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another one of our Lakehead Live sessions. I'm sure most of you are familiar that I am Jennifer. I'm here today to do the Transition Tuesday with immigration. So thank you for joining us for another session. As you know that we are doing these live every day at 10 a.m. Tuesdays, Transition Tuesdays is all for immigration questions. I'm here to answer any questions that you have regarding your study permit, work permit, travel visas, co-op, and so forth. So again, I am Jennifer Hay, Immigration Advisor and Regulated International Student Immigration Advisor for Lakehead University. So here we take the Tuesday opportunities to put all the questions forward. I know we have lots of questions around biometrics, and each week we're looking for updates. And unfortunately, I have no updates to share this week with you, as most centers are still staying closed. I also will introduce my coworker, Sarah. She's on the call with us today. Jordan is taking a day off, so we will miss him, but I'm happy to have Sarah with us today.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for letting me join you today, Jennifer. As Jennifer said, my name is Sarah Melvin, and I'm the International Student Services Coordinator. So part of my job is helping students such as ourselves prepare for coming to Canada. So anything to do with your preparations and getting settled in Thunder Bay, your orientation, and your transition into Lakehead is part of what I support in the process. So if you have any questions around any of those areas, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm also the one that sends everyone their welcome package emails with next steps. So if you have any questions around that, please feel free to reach out. I will put my email and contact in the chat box so you can all write it down throughout the presentation.
Thanks, Sarah. And as you know, things to remember for today's webinar. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions, you will see the Q&A button on the bottom bar there. So please just use that to answer any questions, and we will answer them live. We also have the chat box as well if you'd like to ask through there. That's the easiest way. And also to stay connected with us, follow us on social media. We do have future webinars coming up. I also would like to take a moment to remind everyone next week we will have a special guest from IRCC, which is Immigration, Refugee, Citizenship Canada, and they will be here to talk about updates around the COVID situation. So we invite you all to come and speak to the immigration officer live next week on the same day, Tuesday, 10 a.m. So again, I'm going to turn it over. I will see as the questions come in, we will ask them. If you prefer to ask your questions personally, you can do that through the chat, as well as email me directly after the session. So we do have one question that's come up about biometrics. So they're hearing through the rumor mill that the biometrics may be done in Canada upon arrival. I have not heard anything about this yet. Of course, we have asked IRCC or provided some suggestions on easier ways to collect biometrics so it would stop further delays with immigration, but no, I have not heard anything about this. Normally, when you do apply, come through the port of entry, like through the land border, they do collect your biometrics, but not through airports. So right now, you must wait for that biometric center to open. The other rule I do know for 100% is if you apply in China, for example, and you say you're in China, your request is sent to the visa center there in China, and you cannot actually take that request for biometrics and do this in Canada. You must complete the biometrics in the same country that you've applied for the visa. So I hope that answers your question. I do see that we have a little lull here in questions, but I will let you know that IRCC does have good information on their website. I have shared the links, and we'll share the link in the chat before we end today. You can definitely look at their website to watch for those biometric updates, as we know many people in and out of Canada are all waiting for that as well. Can you hear okay now? Rosita, if you're having issues with the sound, yes, thank you, Sarah. I was like, you can try that. So again, we have lots of questions. Students are always asking about study permit approvals and so forth. If you have waiting for your study permit, you obviously should be applying for that study permit as soon as you receive your letter of acceptance from Lakehead. Even though the biometrics cannot be completed, you should submit your application online and you will pay the fee and your application will be in progress. You will be sent a request for the biometrics, but you must just hold on to that request until that can be done in your home country. So we have another question coming in. A master's degree. If you complete a master's degree in 5 terms, what are you eligible for your postgraduate work permit? This is a really good question. So according to the postgraduate work permit rules, you must complete a master's program of 16 months or longer. So that means 4 terms or more consecutively with no scheduled breaks in order to be eligible for a 3-year open work permit. So if you complete 5 semesters and our master's programs at Lakehead have no scheduled breaks, you would be eligible for a 3-year open work permit upon graduation. So how to apply for the study permit? Good question. You should go to the immigration website. It's www. I'll share it in the chat here to everybody. www.cicgdc.ca. So you can go to that website and you will see there's visitor, study, work, or immigrate. So you can look at all the different pathways to come to Canada and obviously focusing on the study permit application. All applications need to be submitted online within your home country. You will fill out the questions determining where you want to study and what country you're from, and that determines what visa center it's sent to. Another question, what do you mean by biometrics? So biometrics is actually the fingerprint collection. It's a security measure, and it actually was expanded last year in 2019 to almost all countries besides the United States. So what this means is when you apply to come to Canada, we will collect your fingerprints and do an eye scan. And this is done either at Service Canada here in Canada, or if you're out of the country, it's done through the visa center. So the VAC, Visa Application Center, or VFS Center in your home city or country. So what happens is when you apply for a visa, you get this request that's sent to you, and you must complete that in order to be approved for your permit. And this is collected only once every 10 years. So if you've already come to Canada before to visit and you've already done the biometric collection, you can state, yes, you have done this, and you won't be required. So that's good news for you, and it means less delays. So next question comes in, if you've graduated, can you start applying now? If you graduate next year. So for postgraduate work permit, you must have your proof of graduation to be able to apply. But I'm assuming you may be thinking about your study permit application if you're finishing your school in your home country, Sophia. And that would mean you would have to just look. I think our admission period will open up this fall for fall 2021. Is it difficult? Another question that's come in, is it difficult to get a study permit for Canada? Well, as we all know, there are further delays due to the COVID-19 situation that has affected the whole globe. However, study permits are still being processed, and every day I'm helping students extend study permits or apply for postgraduate work permits. And we are finding actually that applications are being processed faster than normal. However, if you need to give biometrics, again, as part of your application will be sitting on hold. So you'll have to just wait for that to open so that you can give that part. Another question that's come in. So you are from Mexico, the approximate dates for the borders to be open. Also, did not submit the study permit before March 18th. So right now there is an exemption put in place for the travel restriction. If you have applied and been approved your study permit before March 18th, 2020, you would be eligible under the exemption to travel to Canada. Again, your classes may be offered online, so you may want to consider just staying home. As we know, there are a lot of issues with traveling or expensive flights, and there is protocols for upon arrival for isolation. So you need to be mindful of all of these things. As well as right now, if you have not received a study permit before March 18th, you do not fall into that exemption and cannot travel to Canada. The current travel restrictions are in place until July 31st. So I anticipate there will be an update within the next few weeks. And as soon as we have an update from CBSA or IRCC, we will share that. And again, I do invite you to tune in next week when we do have IRCC with us, as maybe they will have more information that they can share with us live. As for the borders are not really closed, but for your home country, there are border closures, restrictions for people to actually leave their home country, and that you would have to look into through your own government and your own embassy. Okay, another question that's come in. You're an Indian citizen, you've already given the biometrics and applying for the USA F1 visa. So unfortunately, when you give biometrics, you have to give it to each country. So we don't collect biometrics from the USA. You would have given those biometrics to the United States, not to Canada. So you still have to give your biometrics for your application here. And another question that's come in. So you're looking to visit and come this fall with your mother as an incoming student. Um, yes. So if you are coming from the United States, your mother does not need to do biometrics. US citizens are exempt from biometrics and also exempt from having to apply for a visitor visa. There's a thing called an ETA, an electronic travel authorization. Your mother can apply for this online just with her passport details, and it will be the length of her passport. So she'll be able to come to and from Canada as much as she wants while you're studying here and visit, and staying for 6 months at a time or less. Also note that as a US citizen, you are able to apply for your study permit through the port of entry. So you do not have to apply online. You can do it as you enter the country. Feel free to connect with me directly if you have any other questions about that. Okay, so if you have a visitor visa to Canada and you've already done biometrics, what do I need to do after the letter of acceptance? And very good question. So the nice thing is if you've already done biometrics, this means your application can be processed faster. So you need to go to the CIC website. Again, the link has been provided. With that, you will go to apply for a study permit and open up your own account. You will answer a series of questions and then complete an application form, as well as uploading documents such as your letter of acceptance, your passport copy, family information, and your proof of finance. Once all the information is uploaded, you can pay the fee and submit your file. And within the questions, it's going to ask you if you've already done your biometrics. You will state yes to this question, and then you should not be charged that $85. And again, you will see faster processing for you. Again, I encourage all students. We are now looking at July. We're in the middle of July, July 14th, and you should be submitting that study permit application if you intend to stay or study in September. We understand that there are biometric delays, but without your application even in the system, you can't even go give that biometric collection, or you can't be considered if they do any rule changes or if they decide to do it upon entry or anything like that. So again, I cannot stress the importance of getting that application in now, as we are now looking at getting 6-7 weeks from classes starting. The next question that's come in, stuck with biometrics in India because the offices are closed. And just so you know, they are also closed in Canada. So I have many students who are here. How my study permit and postgraduate work permit will be affected if I start my graduate studies online this fall from my home country, if there's a chance that I don't get my study permit because of the COVID or because of biometrics. So no application has ever been refused because of biometrics. So the fact if you just need that one piece, I don't anticipate people will see refusals. And immigration is never going to refuse an application because you cannot give biometrics. They will consistently keep that application pending. So we understand they're closed there, they're closed all over the globe, and it is causing further delays. If you are allowed to start your studies online before your study permit arrives. However, for that time of your study to be counted towards your postgraduate work permit when you graduate, you need to have the study permit approval. If the study permit is approved sometime, within a few weeks of September, there should be no issues with your postgraduate work permit when you graduate. We are looking and seeking further instruction or clarification from IRCC to say, what if the study permit is approved in October or November? Will they allow you to count that fall semester? And again, that might be a good question to ask them live next week to see what they say regarding that. The second part of your question here is asking if you don't get the study permit. So if your study permit is refused, you need to be mindful of our academic calendar and important dates, as there are only specific dates where you can withdraw from your classes or request refunds. So there is a risk in that part of it. However, for your postgraduate work permit, even if you finish your first semester with no study permit, as long as you are going to study at least 4 more terms, you will still qualify for your 3-year open work permit. And I know that was a lot of information, so hopefully that answers your question. The next question coming in is about the Rural Immigration Pilot Program, and asking if it's required applicants to be in the community for a length of studies. The study permit you have not applied for the study permit yet, taking some online classes in the fall. Have you heard about anything to deal with this program? So the Rural Immigration Pilot Program does favor graduates from Lakehead. So right away, by taking our program and graduating, you are in a better position to stay. With our rural program, we are looking for people who want to stay and contribute to Thunder Bay permanently. So the fact that you're taking your fall semester online will not be an issue, as once you graduate, and if you're living here in Thunder Bay and you have a full-time job offer, that are the requirements to meet the RNIP program. So I do have the website. I will share some links before we end today. I just don't want to close out of my webinar screen to show you guys the screen for the RNIP as well as some COVID updates. But being in your home country, taking your online classes this fall definitely does not burden your chances or hinder your chances for applying to the RNIP for Thunder Bay. Sophia, I will come back to with yours. If you want, Sophia, I can provide my email. We can connect directly about your questions, just so it's easier for you. Next, I'm going to go to the next question. So I'm planning to start my studies in fall 2020 through the online classes, which is a 2-year duration. If you receive the study permit 2 months after the university starts, September 8th, how many months would the postgraduate work permit? So a 2-year program, if you're taking 6 semesters of your master's studies, that fall term, it wouldn't really matter if your study permit came in at all. As long as it was in by January, you're still completing 5 more semesters. Where it becomes problematic is if you plan to just do the 4 semesters and try to fast track your master's studies, whereas you'll have shorter time. You may receive a shorter postgrad work permit in that instance. Okay. So next question. I'm applying from Pakistan and the application center is closed. I'm waiting to give biometrics. Can I still submit the application for study permit without biometrics while the application will start processing? I am unsure what you are referring to, as you must apply online for your study permit in order to get the request to do biometrics. So you can't go to the visa center and do the biometric request without starting your study permit application. So yes, you should go online and start the study permit and just hold that request to give your fingerprints until the centers reopen. So next, how old the proof of funding needs to be for a study permit? So proof of finance, again, is on the IRCC website that I've shared there. You can go through some samples of documents that you need. The information should be relevant. So you can't really use a bank statement from a year ago to show finance, especially if the funds are different and what's in that account. So if you are applying for a study permit now in July, I would say your documents should be no earlier than May of this year. Okay, so student, it was Nigerian, biometric start, and when will the student visa come in? So right now you can go online to apply and you can check processing times on the IRCC website to have an idea of when your application will be processed. However, as I've mentioned, and as we mostly are aware, that due to COVID with the biometric center closures, it's very hard to give an update on when this will come in and be approved. Again, we just wait for IRCC to give updates or for the biometric centers to open. I know here in Ontario, we are going to a stage 3 of reopening businesses. So I anticipate we will start to see the Service Canada collection center start to take bookings again in the weeks to come, and hopefully the same for the countries around the world. Okay, so next question. Are you organizing any fall visits for now? So, fall visits, I'm not sure if you mean like students coming into the campus. We do have some programs that require students on campus, so please check with your faculty to ensure if your courses are fully online or if you do need to be here in Canada. And right now, our campus is limited. We are still open and the residence is still available. However, most students are deciding to just stay put while the travel bans are in place in most countries and restrictions even to enter here in Canada. So we are mostly planning for online classes and online orientation in the fall, but of course we are watching updates as they progress throughout our local government as well as federal government. So the deadline for deferring your admission to the fall term. Please connect with your admissions, so either grad studies or undergraduate admissions to decide or to ask this. You also can look on your letter of acceptance. It may be noted right on there. So the next question, if your study permit expires and the application in biometrics was sent more than months ago, what should I do? I have no response from the immigration department. And the biometrics was sent more than 6 months ago. If my study visa expires, oh, I see, in the application. So if you are waiting for biometrics, it doesn't matter how long it is, they're not going to refuse your application. It's going to just sit there pending until you can get that application done. If you haven't received a response from IRCC and it's past that processing time, you can always send in a web form to them. Like if you check your online account, there's no update, it still says it's in progress. You can send what's called an IRCC web form inquiry and ask them for an update. But please note, I send quite a few of these, and if you're asking about processing times and it still says it's just in process on your application, you likely just have to sit and wait for that to be approved. Can I work outside Canada for full-time and take online classes in fall 2020 outside of Canada? Will there be any problem in the future? I'm actually looking forward to asking this to the IRCC officer next week, as I am unsure of this question myself. There hasn't been any clarification, as the work right now, like the 20-hour a week, is obviously a limit here for Canada. So I don't see how they could really limit full-time work for students who are studying outside of Canada. So right now we don't have a ton of information, but please tune in next week. And once we have a response from the officer, we definitely will update our hot topic questions on the website. All right, so next question. Can my spouse apply for an open work permit with just a study permit approval? Yes, so you can actually include your spouse within your study permit application, or once your study permit's approved, he can apply for the open work permit. And it is a rule that Canada allows dependents to accompany you while you're here. You do have to show proof of finance. However, if he is applying for an open work permit, this isn't as important as if he was coming as a visitor or if you had children that will be coming. And immigration looks at just under $5,000 Canadian for each dependent that will be staying with you. So you will have to demonstrate some type of proof of finance to help support that transition. Okay, so Adam, I'm not quite sure about the incoming freshman 2020 potential student visa. I know we have, my coworker is on the call if she knows anything more about that. But I would obviously just email maybe to welcome at Lakehead to see if anything. I know we have virtual tours, and I will share a slide of this at the end where you can kind of go and see Lakehead campus, take your time, viewing both either the Aurelia or Thunder Bay campus on that. For a student visit. But as of right now, there are not physical tours happening on campus. Next question. Is there a possibility to get a provisional study permit without biometrics? Given the current situation, is there any news from IRCC to accommodate this special situation? This is a very good question and a question that we are asking every day. So please note that not only myself at Lakehead, immigration advisors across Canada are talking about the impact of this and the stress it's causing on applicants and students, and even people trying to make decisions on what they will do for the fall term. Of course, we have provided many examples or suggestions, and we understand biometrics was mostly introduced in 2019. So even if they could put it on hold or maybe approve applications and allow us to do biometrics once the center's open, lots of great ideas and suggestions. So we just have to sit tight and see what IRC decides. Note that we are here to support your applications. We understand how stressful it is for you. and are doing everything in our ability to help support you. How long does it take to apply for a spouse visa after getting a visa? So you can look at processing times on the website. So it all depends on your home country. You can look at the application, your home country, and then pick work permit, and it will tell you the processing time there. So next question, if you arrive with your 11-year-old son, since he is a dependent, he'll be on a visitor visa. Can he accompany me and take admission in a local school? Very good question. Again, Canada does allow dependents to accompany you. So if you're approved a study permit, your spouse can either come and study, work, or visit, and your children can come and visit or study. And here in Thunder Bay, we have an agreement where if you're studying here at Lakehead, your child can attend the school at no cost at elementary school. So at Thunder Bay, we have either a public system or a Catholic system. So you would just decide what program or what system you would like to do for your child or put your child through, and then connect with that school board. And the way it works in Thunder Bay is depending on your address where you live is what school that you actually get to attend. Next question. So my passport is going to expire in 2021 and I'm applying for a 2-year course. How will this affect my study permit? The study permit cannot be issued past your passport expiry. So if you apply for a study permit, even with a 2-year offer letter, they are going to give you a study permit until September 2021. And once you have a new passport or renew that passport, you will have to extend the study permit. The good news is I'm here to help with that. So if this is the case, once you get a new passport, you would just connect with me. We'll have a one-on-one appointment and I'll help you extend that permit. And we do recommend doing that about 2 months before the expiry. The next question coming in, suppose you get the study permit approval first and then apply for the open work permit for the spouse, just with the approval outside of Canada. So yes, it's the same situation if you put the application together or separately. He would just start his own application to come to Canada, and it will ask, does he have a family member who's already there temporarily? He would say yes, and then you would provide your details. So the fact that you have a study permit and that you're full-time enrolled here at Lakehead. And then again, the other documents that he's required to do. Next question, can I bring my sibling as a dependent if I state myself as his guardian? This is a good question, and I haven't actually seen this happen before. Dependents are usually parents, children, grandchildren, and spouses. So I've never seen siblings noted in there, so I'm not sure if you would be able to use that. You can answer the questionnaire and see if you could include them. However, if you are a guardian legally and have the paperwork to set that up and have the custodianship forms and everything else, you may be able to include him in your application. And the last question that's in. So you have done your biometrics and are waiting for a study permit. Sent the documents on March 18th. Is there any chance that the UN send a letter to the embassy regarding the application? I doubt this. I honestly doubt this. We understand there are hundreds of thousands of people waiting, not only for study permits, but for extensions of permits or for postgraduate work permits, permanent residency applications as well. So I don't think that they can expedite any one file. And the application sent on March 18th, that's good news because you gave yourself quite a bit of time. I'm assuming you also, you have done your biometrics. So you should take a look at the application to see the processing time in your home country to see if you're getting close to the approval date. As March 18th was quite a while ago, so that you have allowed enough time for processing, you have done the biometrics. So I would anticipate you should see the approval message before September. And that's a lot of questions and so forth in there. I know I haven't really been watching the chat, so just looking here to see if there's any other questions that are coming in, but it doesn't look like there is. So we usually do get through quite a bit of the questions fast. We'll leave it for a few more minutes here for everybody. So a Nigerian student, how does the study permit and biometrics work? So same as it would for any other student. You have to go on, once you're accepted to Lakehead University, you're going to go to the CIC website and apply for your study permit. You will be sent a request for biometrics, and then you will be able to complete that at the visa application center closest to you once they start to take appointments again. So I will spend a few minutes because I know I want to share some links with you guys. But in the meantime, just want to remind everyone to follow us on social media. You can see that we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. A lot of these Lakehead sessions are tapes live, so you can go onto the YouTube channel and watch ones that you've missed. Don't forget to connect with my other colleagues throughout this week. And again, there's the link for the virtual tour if you want to go in there. I'll pass it over to Sarah quickly.
Hey, Jen. We get a lot of questions around what questions that I have coming in, and it's partially due to, a lot of offices being closed. And so some students have been given a conditional offer, so they have conditions upon submitting this or that. What do you suggest for students that have a conditional offer? Should they try and meet their conditions before applying? It's a question I know we often get, and I'm sure you get it a lot as well.
Yes, it is a good question. Surprised it hasn't come up already today. So normally I would tell students that you should try to meet conditions and apply for an unconditional letter, or have an unconditional letter of acceptance when you apply, as that helps strengthen your application for the study permit. However, because of slow processing and the delays with biometrics, we encourage you to submit that study permit application right away, even if you have a conditional letter of acceptance. And what happens is you would submit the application with your conditional letter, and in your statement of purpose or in the client information upload, you have to explain that you are using this conditional offer because you need to complete your IELTS exam and the IELTS centers are still closed due to COVID-19, and let them know that as soon as you have an unconditional offer, you will be updating your account. So again, I know I've already talked a little bit about that web form. So anytime you want to make a change or update your address or anything with immigration, you can send what's called a web form inquiry. And there you can upload documents. So you would reference specifically your application and say, hey, now I've met my eligibility. Please see my unconditional offer now attached to the file. Replace it from my old one. And to be honest with you, you will likely meet your conditions and upload that file well before immigration even has a chance to review your study visa application. So this is the best thing to do, and immigration has confirmed that you can submit incomplete applications at this point just to meet deadlines, and then update the file once you have either your transcripts have to go in, or maybe you have to complete, like I said, the IELTS exam or so forth. So in the meantime, I do see a few more questions have come in. So a mature student, 47 years old, how can I make a strong case for getting the study permit? So this is a good question. I know that there is no age requirement to come to Lakehead or to apply for a study permit, but we would always encourage applicants to explain this in the statement of purpose. So sometimes immigration will refuse applications that don't make sense to them. So if you are already educated, well-educated, have your degree, working in a field, have a full-time job, they may kind of question, why are you changing this field, or why are you studying the same program that you've already studied and have been working in? So if you decide to go back to school, which I always encourage lifelong learning, you have to just explain this to IRCC and make it make sense to them on why you're doing that. So the next question that's come in, you will complete your grade 12 in 2021. So is there any harm if you apply for the BA management in the winter 2021 intake? No, not at all. If you finish your 12th grade, but you can go ahead in 2021, you'll be able to apply in the into 2021 spring. You should be able to apply for the winter intake of the following year. So just make sure you're watching our admissions page to make sure you're not missing any deadlines. But there is no harm in applying early and accepting your offer. So the fall semester has started online. Is there any possibility to continue the rest of your semester in campus in normal situation? Will this situation get a work permit after completion of degree? So IRCC has been very clear that if you take your fall semester online due to COVID, there's not going to be any penalty for you. You can still continue to work off campus if you're here in Canada, and you will still be eligible for your postgraduate work permit, assuming that you have a study permit that's going to cover that full period. So there is no issue whatsoever if you're taking that, especially around your postgraduate work permit. And thanks. I know Sarah has shared a few links here. I'm just going to kind of pop out of here if I can and put some links inside of our website, and then we will end it off today if there's no further questions coming in. Oh, one more. You want to start your program in January 2021. Can you fill up your application form now? If you're talking about your admission application, please just refer to the admission website and see what is available. And if you're talking about the immigration application for a study permit, yes, as soon as you have your offer letter, you can start your application for your study visa. And we always encourage you to apply early. So again, I'm just going to take a second really quickly here to share a few links with everybody. And then we'll end it off. I want to thank Sarah for joining me today and dealing with all of the questions coming in and being a good co-host with me. And so here's one for everyone, IRCC updates. Right there. And then CBSA as well, I'll give you guys. And last but not least, sorry.
Jen, while you're on there, can you share the IRCC page that talks about the quarantine process? I know it sounds like a lot of students are still, waiting on study permits, which is common this time of the year. But as we know, it'll be a little bit delayed. But any students, if and when travel restrictions are lifted, there will still most likely be a quarantine period. Currently, if you are able to travel, obviously the quarantine period is 14 days, but there's a plan that you have to follow through the Government of Canada in order to do that. And this plan needs to be submitted at the time when you come through the port of entry. So there's a lot of preparation that needs to go into this ahead of time. Also, there is a few forms that Lakehead University requires students to fill out in regards to quarantine plans, and those are included in your welcome package email. So if you do have any follow-up questions after that, please feel free to reach out to Jennifer or myself.
Perfect. That's right, Sarah. And now I have shared quite a few there to everybody. So the first link in there was just some information about the postgraduate work permit and updates that taking the online classes will not affect that. Next, the travel information coming from CBSA, and then the IRCC web form is there if you do have to update your file after applying for a conditional letter of acceptance. As always, we're here for you, so please join in our other sessions throughout the week. And again, I strongly advise everybody, if you can, join me next week with IRCC. It's great to have somebody direct from immigration who will be able to answer these questions for us. So definitely looking forward to it and think it will be a hot, busy one. So that's it for today, everybody. Again, feel free to email me if you have any further questions. If not, we'll see you next week.